ahead. Aaron, you want to just
Yeah.
sit over here with us? And
All right.
you can just kind of give us an update. There's not really.
Yeah, the only thing that I've really updated from last time, line 61, is a formal change order, formal number from CNI for the X-ray machine, not including the metal detectors that the sheriff's office has mentioned using their existing ones. So I put that number in there. I think previously we were holding a number of 35.
Okay.
So it's gone down about 10 grand. In essence, this shows what we've been showing most of the time. The very top of the line, your original bid, 11,098,000 at the very top, and then this section is all the change orders. Down here are all the allowances. Keep in mind, all those allowance figures are built into the bid. So all we're doing is we're just counting for those allowances. We're net below budget on the allowances, so we take that out of the bid number. So as of right now, we're less than we were on bid day, which is remarkable. It's really good news. We still have a healthy construction contingency. We're not going to need that much. I mean, we're going to finish really well. All the other items have been accounted for. You also have the re-roof, which hasn't changed since the last time you looked at it. No more numbers there have changed. And then you still have, at the very bottom, a difference, money that was never really designated.
Right.
So you're looking really good.
And we just left over there. They're moving along pretty well.
They're still saying end of October. That's 6 weeks. Okay, but Casey says he's going to be there every day, and he's pushing his guys as much as he can push them. He does run into problems with getting material. COVID, it's still causing problems. It's definitely slowing people down. Manpower, it's still an issue.
So they're going to turn on the heat and air on the 23rd.
Right.
So that'll be a big step.
Yeah, they really need to do that.
Looking for, but I'd say about half of the elevators are installed. One's completely installed. One.
Yeah, he said he was done with the one on the staff elevator. They're mostly done with the cab for the prisoner. The next one is the staff. So here in a couple weeks, it'll be done, I think. Irrigation starts next week. Take 2 weeks to do irrigation. We talked about landscaping. We're still waiting on getting photographs of all the landscape. There's a lot of landscaping.
And it's
fairly significant trees that are coming
yes,
back.
And it's for all pretty good size, so it really will look kind of like instant.
Meant to look.
When I talked to the superintendent last, he said, don't even count on landscaping by the October date.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be more like January, or at least December.
Yeah, Casey didn't tell us that, but that doesn't surprise me to hear that, especially since we haven't gotten photographs yet, on what we're asking for. He says we've got all of the trees. The larger stuff we've got. The previous landscape subcontractor ordered them all and then backed out. I guess missed the irrigation or something. So put CNI kind of in a bind, but they've been able to find somebody to come back in to get the irrigation done. But they are having trouble finding 244 boxwoods that we've got spec'd. So they're looking. And they don't want to submit partial photographs. We don't want partial submittals either, so they're trying to finish everything so we can see it all at one time.
Just a question. The eternal flame, I know it was damaged prior to all of it. It's had problems for years. Is that part of our contract to put that back in, or is that something separate?
No, yeah, so no eternal flame is going back in. We're keeping the markers, of course, the grave, the tombstones, the markers that are there in that spot, but the eternal flame is not going. We talked about it, but yeah, there's no gas line, and then I think we looked into it, and we'd have to put in a new gas line and everything else that goes along with it. But it wasn't burning, I don't think, when we started. so it wasn't eternal at the outset.
When I was doing the
But
police department, we had to go by a light and everyone started getting a whiff of gas at the police department, go over like the eternal flame.
Well, it seems like there's several different things that kind of
yeah,
popped up with the eternal flame,
yeah,
and I don't really remember exactly what the deciding factor on. Maybe it was that we didn't really think that we could keep it eternal or something. I mean, it was something that there was.
yeah. It's a maintenance thing, but it's not. Is it going to be eternal like JFK eternal? There's a lot that goes into doing that if you're going to go to that level, but it wasn't ever installed to that degree, and we didn't plan on it to put back and do it.
So the last this payout that we are about to pay was for roughly $354,000. I don't know if you guys have taken a look at it, and they did complete the asphalt parking lot's done. So, it's getting there.
Yeah, it's draining. They were throwing some water on it before. I was watching the water drain, so I didn't see any standing water in spots, so that's good.
More cabinets have been installed. Were they thinking, what was he talking about, the quarry tile? They're hopeful on that.
They were about halfway into installing the quarry tile, and it just looked like they just walked off the job because they got like halfway in. Where are the quarry tile guys? I think they got COVID. I think is what I got the application. I was talking to him. So
okay,
the floor guys, and he couldn't get any more help on it because just lack of manpower. So I think that plays a part.
And you got like what the second floor by the. Did he say the end of next week? Is that what he said?
Yeah, cleaning on the quarry tile. So they bought a machine to strip all the wax off, and it really feels like it's going to take out most of the scratches we see in the old quarry tile floor.
And then by the end of next week, the second floor would really be ready for the final coat of paint and basically done.
Yeah, he did. He stopped short of saying punch. Punch. I know, because he knew I probably no, you're not. Should be ready for a punch, but anyway, he second floor. Yeah, he says it's going to be pretty close to done. But they got a ways to go.
So yes, he's still very confident. We'll just kind of wait and see. My suggestion, so we have, with the exception of whatever how the interest is changing, we have roughly $4 million that has not been appropriated in that period. I think we should, we don't have a quorum, but I think we should appropriate $2 million of it so that we can, with just the. Without a recommendation. So there's I don't think there really should be any surprises.
No, there's
just like you did, get a surprise, somebody messed up.
No surprises that I'm aware of. Would take that much money? Better not. I've never seen a change order this late in the project.
So do you think that would push the project out?
Oh yeah.
So that would leave us roughly $2 million.
No, we'll have to appropriate the other $2 million, but we can just do that kind of later. This will get us through probably till, I would say.
I mean, you'll have another payment to make for furniture when that comes in.
That's right.
The week after Thanksgiving,
we have
a check due and
some other things.
That's only about $250,000.
Right. You probably paid half of it.
Well, he still thinks. Casey said today. What did he say? He was right at $3 million or something. He said, I said because when I said 4, he said, "Oh, 3," and I said, "No, I'm just talking for our end."
Well, I remember hearing that, but it didn't compute, so I wasn't sure what you guys were talking about.
Okay. No, I think we're still. I mean, it's been a couple of months ago, but Kelly and I kind of reconciled everything to make sure that what we had paid was kind of all on track with what the budget looked like, and we were tracking almost perfectly within Yeah, so, now, we, at the end of the project, when everything is said and done, we should have the 256, 968, 77, and the 125 in the contingency.
$382, almost $382,000 that we could potentially use in the.
And there
And we
will be,
boosted up the moving, budget too. We've got anticipated moving expenses of
Right.
125,000.
Yeah.
Which should cover it. I mean, we added up, all of your previous moving expenses, and we didn't come up to that, near that much, I don't think, but we were just making sure, that, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if once you move in and you get into your space and things just aren't quite what you need it to be, you need some more furniture or something else, that's totally understandable. So I would expect, some of this to cover that, but I mean, you're overall.
and then there's probably some additional interest, I don't think that we put on in a couple of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And-
this was
but
as
not
March,
much.
this is
Just,
March, this interest statement.
a little FYI, this morning I sent off a, sales tax rebate form for the construction fund that was over $5,000 rebate.
Well, there you go.
So, that, if they approve it, don't ask me what the purchase was, I don't know what it was right off the top of my head, I looked at a lot of them.
So we should pay sales tax on all the materials, so we should have several rebates coming back
Well, this,
on that.
the only one that was sent in, that was approved, not approved, it hasn't been approved yet. The only one that has been submitted in the last few months was for it was over $5,000.
Okay. Because on all construction, you can technically apply to get all of the sales tax paid back on that.
Are you asking me a question?
No.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just
You
saying.
said it was a rebate that was sent back
Yes.
already? Okay.
It was a rebate that we sent off for this morning, we sent them all in this morning, and it was over $5,000 on the construction.
Gotcha.
By this amount because.
Well, that's in this amount.
What
It's
about the
deducted.
marble, did y'all find someone satisfactory to clean it up?
So, that subject came up as well. Last time, we thought they were gonna self-perform it. They've been talking to a subcontractor to come in to do the cleaning. So, we're still waiting for them.
It's still, yes, it's still kind of a work in progress, it looks like, to me, but, so I was thinking next month, since we should have plenty of money already appropriated, that, we just kind of do a little walkthrough over there. And just kind of,
That's a good time. That's a good time.
Yeah, I mean, we can, you wanna do it 2 weeks from today or something?
1 month, well, let's do it,
Yeah,
yeah.
it'll be in October when it's supposed to be almost finished.
Yeah.
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 That
Yeah.
way we'll
So,
be
well,
back.
we'll know how far that they're really.
I should be back in there before then myself.
So, and then you're meeting with the elected officials to, on their space a little bit to go over some of the move back. So really that, I mean, that's pretty much, it's, like I said, I'm hopeful, so, I think so.
I'm good.
All right, so now, moving along with task, so there has been mention of the health units, the one in Osceola and the one in Blytheville, about potentially looking at doing something with those two, with the CARES Act money. I'm going to ask Justice Ash
Is
if
that the CARES Act money or the American, it's under the American Rescue that we can do
Yes.
infrastructure.
yes, the coronavirus money.
Yes.
That money,
Yeah.
you know.
I wish we had one because I would like to put forward. We look at just building new health units. I'm sure that the two that we have are very far out of date.
Well, so that's what I was gonna ask you, if you, do you mind to go take a look at them and talk maybe, just I think not only are you,
What we'd like to do is we'd like to talk with the state licensing agency on them. Because just like the hospitals, right now, I use an example that I don't even want to say this word, but if something were to happen to a hospital and it closed, it could not reopen as a hospital because it does not meet the current criteria for a hospital. the same question becomes, do our health departments meet the criteria for health department?
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth I think we should look into it and see what, no reason to spend, partial money right now if we can have the opportunity to,
If we
To do
can,
something.
if we can put them private,
well, so
it's like
that's,
I told someone, instead of putting just a drive, you put a double bay garage with doors on both ends. You can pull two people in at the same time. It doesn't even necessarily have to be heated or cooled. You get the people, if you got a north wind blowing 40 miles an hour and it's a cold day, it at least gives them a break from the sharp winds.
well,
To do
so I
testing.
mentioned to the judge, I told him we'd talk about it today in the meeting, and just to kind of get a gauge and see what, I'll be honest, I'm not really familiar with the health departments, but what you're bringing up is a great point. He mentioned doing something like your wife has outside, like the little
Well,
awning.
they had asked for some type of covered drive-through,
Right.
something like that. And yes, that would be good if we don't need to update the units themselves. If we do, go ahead and look at it and close it. Because then they can pull a car in there, drop the door behind them. It doesn't matter what the weather is outside. It may be cold in there or it may be hot. But you can suffer through that for a few minutes versus standing out there getting rained over if it's 20 degrees.
Well, I agree with building new, but I don't know that that's gonna entirely solve I don't know if that's gonna be timely enough to solve the problem. The problem is that they're needing that for testing now. I mean, if we decide to build one from scratch, you're gonna have a lot of planning and a lot of time that would take before that could come to fruition.
Even if you start to do that now, you're gonna have it drawn and then built. I'm agreeing with you, but it would be a shorter period of time, but I'm not sure.
I think they would still need something temporary in the meantime.
Well,
They're gonna
and
need some sort of-
so he had, that's what he was talking about. So what Connie has, he has priced, and think it was about $60,000.
Yeah,
Rent
when
one
we
of those big
built,
tents a whole lot cheaper than that out there for one.
when we bought,
Well, that's kind
I
of.
mean, for a temporary solution,
Well, that
I
was
mean,
his thought. He thought that was a lot of money to spend.
shouldn't take two of those low carports, that we can sell later.
yeah.
Instead of the problem is, that's a regular structure, and I
That's what-
think
right.
when we built it with 6 spaces, and it cost us right at $9,000.
Yeah,
That's
so
too much
he-
for that, but I think we should explore both options, getting them a temporary, less
Yeah.
expensive temporary housing covering for testing, but then we need to explore actually rebuilding them brand new.
You have to realize that when it's rough out there, that's designed to withstand 90-mile-an-hour winds all night long. We could pour a concrete pad, Hilti bolt these down and give them something, and we could even cover it where they walk out to it.
Well, if nothing else, and after the fact, we might be able to use those in the road department or something to protect some of our equipment. I mean, they're reusable, removable.
So I'm putting that on. I'm putting that on you there.
Oh, gee,
So
thanks.
yeah, so just let us know what you think. So I feel like we're a little far enough along. We had also the courthouse in Osceola, so there will be some money. There will be some money left over from this project. We talked about using it in Osceola. Also, some of the rescue money.
You got it.
The rescue money could potentially be used with the heat and air system at the courthouse in Osceola. What do you think now would be a good time to have Aaron go ahead and look at doing something, especially in the courtroom itself is on a different unit?
Yeah, we put in a grant a few years back, preservation program to help with that, because we wanted to restore the windows and get rid of the nasty piping on the outside of the building. doing a new unit, similar to what we've got in the new courthouse. Yeah, VR, will allow us to do that. So, yes, we could move forward with that, with a separate system, allow us to improve the appearance, but also much more efficient system than what you have there right now.
Probably having the moisture issue too. Some of the damage in there is, I mean, that was from the, a lot of that was from the roof.
Yeah.
Some of that from the AC, existing AC is it?
Well, yes, it's yes and no. I mean,
Probably more from the heat because they use steam heat.
From the
and there's
boiler.
water.
yeah,
The boiler.
yeah, which wouldn't go away. You still have that problem in the rest of the building. So the courtroom itself is on a separate system, but the rest of the building is still using boiler heat. So
But if we went to the
Except for
baking
Harley's
office,
office, I think.
do I?
The Harley's office has a separate unit.
Yeah, there are some window units kind of scattered around.
Well,
Yeah,
I maybe have turned the same and she can help me here. I mean, the Osceola courthouse, I mean, we could spend all the rescue money down there. I mean, it's a project just like this one is here.
you can actually, and we've talked about this before, you could actually, because if you wanna say how it would directly impact COVID, right now, all of their air is exchanged to one unit, basically.
Yeah.
If you go to these daycare units, they control each individual room separately, so you're not moving air from this room to the next room. So if someone becomes infected in here, it's not as likely to spread.
Well, what I was saying is, I feel like at some point, it's just a matter of how much of the rescue money do we want to put down there? I think the courtroom is a great place to start. You know,
there's a long list of things that you
I mean, you could
improve.
that's why I said, I mean, I think we could probably really spend all $8 million down there.
Oh, easy.
But this seems like a reasonable place to start.
And here's the thing, when we went back, are all those, pews coming back from the courthouse at
We're getting new pews at the Bottom Courthouse
both courtrooms?
in both courtrooms. Now, there are a handful of the original pews that we've restored. They're coming back as well. They're gonna be more like in the corridors. They're a little weaker, really not meant for
So
heavy views.
we
but-
could possibly, if we redid the courtroom in Osceola, move the Osceola courthouse out, or just the courtroom itself out to Osceola. Or out to Burnett, we redid that.
That would be, there you go, because all the furniture would already be there, so.
Hey, I'm trying to be efficient,
So, yeah,
I try not to waste money all the time.
that's a, I mean, a temporary solution, since it's already there and we're, you know, that's a good idea. Okay.
You know, we can, I think we could pass it on to finance to make a recommendation that we start to look at it, start to get some ideas. They might wanna consult Aaron and see,
Yeah.
if he had recommendations and things that we could do, and start just kind of give us some pricing so that we know when we're completely finished and we know what we've got, we can start to move forward.
Thanks, Seth.
That'd be happy.
All right, energy, anything else? Those were really, the big ones. Well, okay, if there's nothing else, then I will adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Who's the one over there?
Aaron, I'm gonna say it, they're not gonna like it.